Jura E8, an all-in-one machine that operates as a barista. It can make 75,000 types of drink combinations, but the basic needs are 8 drinks that the clients will be having. To turn it on, you would press the button here in the top right. It is power. If that's not working, it just means that it's probably not plugged in. Hopefully the closer of the night before refilled the water tank. If not, you could see on the side where the water level currently is. So you would fill it to the top. Right now we're filling with tap water because there is a water filter in there, but eventually within a week or so we're going to have a water cooler that has filtered water, so we won't need the filter and we'll be filling from there. The machine takes about 17 seconds to boot up and then it starts heating the water. During that time, what I would do is I would take this milk canister, which you'll find probably somewhere in the back because it was rinsed out, or maybe in a fridge somewhere, and take milk, open it by twisting the top, and then filling the water to about halfway, filling it with milk halfway, and then closing it back in, making sure that the milk pipe is inserted so that it's barely touching the bottom, but also securely touching the top through this rubber spigot. Place it inside of the milk cooler, and it dots in. On the back of the milk cooler, there's a button about 5 inches down, or about half an inch from the ground. Turning that on will put this blue light on, and that means that the milk has now been kept cool all day long. Once that's set up, you need the milk pipe, which is this plastic apparatus. It has 2 harder plastic things in there. Every now and then you'll see that there's some clogging that occurs. Maybe about once a week you'll need to run it under hot water and squeeze the pipe and go through to remove all of the curdles that are inside. Gross, right? Anyway, these 2 sides are both male. They can go into either. One connects right here to this milk adapter, over here on the right side. Just chuck it in. And the other goes into the milk cooler. Once those 2 female portions are happy, the milk thing is ready to go. The machine will stay on for 8 hours straight until no drinks are made. It'll turn off by itself, but otherwise you're fine. So let's run some drinks, for example. Right now we're very limited on glassware, so I'm going to be simulating. This side is where you would do any milk beverages, so lattes, flat whites, cafe au lait, and such. On the left is espressos, ristretto, and coffee, things that don't need milk at all. Ristretto is an espresso that's run through a higher pressure system with half of the water. So if your client really likes coffee and wants an espresso, ask if they'd like to try ristretto instead. Let's start with this. For lattes, you need to have this dial turned to the right, which means that there's no foaming. Turning it to the left increases the foam action of the milk. And all you do is cycle here, latte macchiato. There's 6 buttons here that allow you to go through the settings. Really, you don't need to customize the drinks because they're pretty set up well. So let's do latte macchiato. Here you can customize the level of caffeine in it. We're going to do it to the max. It grinds the beans. Beans are coming from the top container. You can visually inspect if there's not enough coffee beans in there. If so, you would just open it and pour beans inside. I would stand here and monitor just in case you put a glassware that's not meant for it. A latte macchiato is roughly 9 ounces, which this cup should fit perfectly. But during so you can customize by pressing switches, so if we wanted it to run quicker, we could minimize the amount of milk or increase the amount of milk. There's also an interval of timing between. That usually is allowed for the milk to defroth, to let the espresso go in. In our case, because we're using less quality milks, than European milks, it's not as crucial of a step, and we don't really have coffee snobs in California. This is how you would choose the height of the machine. It's just important for if you're using different size glasses. Now that the beverage is done, you would serve this to your client. After milk drinks, it's very important to clear the milk flute by doing a rinse cycle. That's done here by pressing this bottom left P button. And then not clean the rinse, go forward one more, rinse the milk system. All that does is puts water through the milk pipe just to make sure that since there's maybe hours between milk beverages are served, that there's not milk just resting inside of this part that's unsterile to prevent festering and such. So now it's just singeing water down. It's always okay for water refuse to go into this drip container. That's what it's designed for. Every now and then the system will tell you that it needs to be empty. If the drip container or coffee container are full, how to do that is you would raise this lever all the way to the top, carefully, and you eject it just by pulling it out. For this example, I'm just using our trash bin right here to make things easy. But this coffee poop just goes into any coffee bin, or trash bin, sorry. And then the water refuse you would do by carefully holding it. Coming out of the top left corner, water drippings will come out. And then once it's, empty, you would reload it into the machine. Make sure you put the coffee poop container back in, and then slide easily. And that's it. If it ever says that the drip container is not empty, there's a chance that the contacts, which operate on electrostatic you would need to wipe this clean. If there's too much water or salt on it, the system won't be able to detect that the drip tray is dry. So a simple wiping of that should enable it to understand that the drip tray is now clear. The cleaning process is actually more complicated, so let's pretend we're closing. This is the milk cleaning apparatus. What you would do is you would fill it with tap water on the back side, the side that's taller. Whoops! On my bag, the front side. This is the milk system cleaner. It always will come in this bottle that looks like this. This is the trial pack. We'll have a larger one. It's important to put a very small amount. This is extremely concentrated. It's not harmful to you, but it's vinegar and salt. You'd apply something around maybe like 3 drops in, and make sure this is sealed, as it would dry really quick if it wasn't sealed, and put that back in the storage. You take the milk pipe out of the cooler and pop it into this spigot right here, and attach this and put it so that it's dripping now into this plastic container rather than the drip container. Press the P button again, and now we're going to actually do the clean milk system. This operation takes 2 minutes. Next. There is one step in between cleaning. I would always have it set on the froth mode to increase the cleaning efficacy. During this step, you have about 1 minute and 10 seconds to do whatever you want. You can go to cleaning something, locking the door, cleaning a window. You'll see that it's frothing through and the water starts with white because it has some milk dust in it, and will gradually clear up. When it's cleared, closer to sterile, and then less cloggages would happen. At this point, it's going to ask for fresh water. That's just because it's a little bitch. It doesn't actually need fresh water, but you might want to add just a small amount of water into the tank because it might need it, and then press next. Now it's doing a rinse phase. In the rinse phase, it's not actually important, but if you can remember, switch it back into non-froth mode. As the water is hotter now, it stands a chance that it would spackle out more. Putting it on this mode makes it so there's less dripping to clean up later. Once it's done, during this time now, you can put this milk container away. If it's only been used for like a day or two, I would just put it in the fridge if there's milk in it, because this thing keeps it cold, so we could just use the milk for the next day. If you notice on the inside that it looks like the milk's been used for a while, then I would pour the milk out and put it through a wash cycle in the dishwasher or wash by hand. Make sure you turn the milk cooler off every night. If it's left on without the milk container, this area stays very cold and it'll condense a lot of gross water and air and get really disgusting by morning. Now that it's finished rinsing the cycle, take the milk aspirator pipe out and just let the drippings drip somewhere. And then I would just leave it on top to let it air dry overnight. This refuse can just be poured anywhere. Don't drink it, it's full of like salt and vinegar. This now goes back into storage. It never needs to be rinsed out, it's actually clean. And now that the system is completely rinsed, you can turn it off, which is again the power button in the back right. Pressing that once, it'll say now that it's rinsing the coffee system. So it'll now rinse the coffee part that's in the milk system, and now rinse the espresso and ristretto distributors in the front. The turning off process takes about, oh my got 18 seconds. Once it's done, I would lift this lever all the way to the top because now it's contributed a lot to the coffee poop bin, and now also the water refuse can also be emptied. Once the system is off, it's completely off, and then I would refill the water tank with water just to make the opener's job a little less troublesome. But last thing, again, empty the coffee poop and the water refuse, and then put back, and then you're done. Thank you for taking care of the Jura E8 system.